When you wake up every morning, you don't even suspect how fragile your freedom is. You get up, turn off the alarm clock, and make a choice. Coffee or tea, a sandwich or oatmeal, a white or black shirt. Every moment seems like an act of absolute free choice. Now, imagine a laboratory. In the corner is a rat, but not an ordinary rat, a real cyber rat. No, not with a laser on its back, but with a set of implants that turn it into a pawn in the hands of scientists. One push of a button, and the rat happily jumps off the stairs. Although in its natural environment, it would categorically refuse to do so. Sounds like science fiction? Not at all. This is reality, which calls into question the very concept of freedom, not only for rats but also for humans. What if every decision we make is nothing more than an elegant performance staged by neurons, hormones, and genetic algorithms? What if free will is just a beautiful fairy tale we tell ourselves to keep from going crazy? Welcome to a world where scientific discoveries of recent decades are literally exploding the foundations of our understanding of free will from within. During the Enlightenment, humans were a mysterious black box for philosophers. John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Thomas Jefferson created a romantic myth about humans as beings endowed with absolute freedom. Did a person find themselves in a dramatic situation and commit a crime? That was their choice, the philosophers said. Everyone is personally responsible for their actions because they act solely of their own free will. This concept became more than just a philosophical idea. It formed the basis of liberal ideology, legal systems, moral norms, and social contracts. Man was seen as a rational, superior being, capable of controlling his impulses, making rational decisions, and taking responsibility for them. Modern democracy identifies itself with personal choice. This is its core, its sacred cow. Your will is your right, we are told. But science, ever inconvenient and spoiling all the fun, offers a different view. Molecules, electrons, and hormones control us just as ocean waves control a small boat. Every impulse in the brain is either the result of determinism or chance. There is no freedom in this formula, just as there is no freedom for a robot that responds to even or odd numbers of radioactive discharges. This idea sounds paradoxical. How then can we explain our desires? Why do I want to eat a cake while my colleague dreams of a burger? The answer is simple. We do not choose our desires. Desires choose us. We experience them as a given, just as the rat in the experiment feels a desire to turn left. Want an example? Remember the last time you suddenly had the thought, should I repaint the kitchen green? Or should I call my friends and go to a cafe, bowling? I don't know, maybe the movies? You didn't decide in advance to think about it, did you? You didn't plan it. You just suddenly decided. It's true. Science is ruthless, and the deeper scientists delve into the study of the human brain, the more the romantic picture of the world crumbles. A world where man is the absolute master of his actions, emotions, desires, and thoughts. When researchers opened the metaphysical black box of human consciousness, they found neither a soul nor a mysterious decision-making center inside. Only a tangle of genes, hormones, and neurons, subject to the same physical and chemical laws that govern a water molecule or an iron atom. The same biological programming that drives animals. Modern science offers many shocking experiments that call into question the very idea of free will. One of them is the so-called button experiment. Imagine a scientific laboratory. The test subject is placed in a huge tomograph. In front of them are two signal buttons. They are asked to press either one whenever they want. But scientists observing brain activity are able to predict which button they will press in advance, fractions of a second before the person themselves is aware of their decision. Neuronal activity reveals the choice before it appears in consciousness. Now, imagine another laboratory. Scientists implant electrodes directly into a rat's brain, turning it into an obedient biological drone. Turning right, climbing stairs, no problem. The rat becomes a fanatical explorer of garbage heaps and staircases. It thinks it is acting of its own free will, but in reality, its desires are controlled from a remote control. Scientists claim that the rat enjoys this, and indeed it happily runs wherever it is directed. But is this freedom? Now, the main question: how is the rat different from us if both it and we derive pleasure from brain stimulation, electrical or chemical? Ask the rat if you can understand its language, and it will probably answer, "Of course I am free. I want to climb the stairs, and I climb them. I want garbage, and I go to it. I do what I want." Isn't that freedom? At a medical center in Jerusalem, scientists implanted electrodes in the brains of patients with severe depression. A small computer sent a weak electrical impulse to the brain, and the patient's condition improved dramatically. The darkness of depression disappeared as if by magic. But one day, one patient's depression returned. Along with it came apathy, suffering, pessimism, and a feeling of meaninglessness. As it turned out later, it was all because of a dead battery. When the device was recharged and the patient pressed the button, his mood instantly improved, as if he had awakened from a terrible dream. Life was filled with meaning again. Isn't this direct proof that emotions are just electrochemical reactions? The theory of evolution deals another blow to the concept of free will. Natural selection only works with genetic patterns. Imagine an animal in the wild. If it could really choose freely what to eat and who to mate with, evolution simply could not work. The genes that promote survival and reproduction are passed on. Those that interfere disappear. Evolution is incompatible with free will. After all, if humans are truly free, how could they have been shaped by natural selection? According to evolutionary logic, the genetic code is responsible for every choice: habitat, food, partner. If some genes encourage an animal to eat useful mushrooms and mate with fertile individuals, these genes are passed on. If other genes draw it to poisonous mushrooms and infertile partners, these genes disappear. If animals were free to choose, evolution would simply have nothing to work with. Many, of course, object, "I feel free. I make my own decisions." Yes, that's true. People do follow their desires. But if by free will we mean only the ability to follow our own desires, then yes, it exists. But the main question is, where do these desires come from? Modern science offers many shocking experiments that call into question the very idea of free will. Take, for example, the button experiment. Imagine a scientific laboratory. The test subject is lying in a tomograph. In front of them are two signal buttons. They are asked to press either button whenever they want. They make a decision and press the button. But there is one catch. Scientists observing their brain activity can predict which button they will press even before they are aware of their decision. The readiness neurons activate before the feeling of "I have decided" appears. His choice seems to have been predetermined before he himself knew about it. Now, another scene. A laboratory, rats, electrodes. Scientists implant them directly into the rodent's brain. Turn right. Stairs. Trash can. The rat becomes a biological drone, guided by a signal from the remote control. Of course, it feels as if it is acting of its own free will. It wants the stairs. It wants the trash. It moves where it wants to go. But it is not its desire. It is the professor's neural impulse. And now, people. In one of Jerusalem's medical centers, doctors implanted electrodes in the brains of patients with severe depression. An electrical impulse, and the black abyss disappears. Life returns. But one day, one of the patients felt the emptiness again. Everything became gray, meaningless, heavy. It turned out that the battery had run out. They recharged it. He pressed the button, and everything changed. His mood, his thoughts, his perception of the world. With a click, like waking up from a nightmare. Isn't this direct proof that our emotions are just electro-biochemical processes? The theory of evolution deals the final blow to the concept of free will. Natural selection works with genes, not desires. Animals in nature cannot freely choose what to eat or with whom to mate. They follow innate patterns. Those who eat nutritious mushrooms and choose healthy partners will continue their lineage. The rest will disappear. Freedom is impossible here. If desires arose randomly, evolution would stop. Everything we feel as "I want" is simply an echo of the winning mutations. Yes, we do follow our desires, but we do not choose what our desires are. That is the main point. You do not choose whether you want this particular cake. You do not choose who to vote for. You do not decide to fall in love or to hate. You are drawn to fried chicken, not cucumber, and you do not know why. You hate the offender and don't forgive them. You want a red car, not a black one. All these desires come from outside, they just appear. You don't choose them, you feel them, like waves. Now, think again about what free will means. You can follow your desires, yes, but are you able to choose the desires themselves? Can you want something else? Of course not. It's a logical trap. When the biochemical chain triggers the desire to press the right button, you feel that desire and act on it. You sincerely want to press it. That's true. But you didn't choose to want it. You just feel the desire and react. And again, technology. The U.S. military is testing transnational helmets. They enhance concentration, suppress fear, and activate superhero mode. Imagine a journalist who, in virtual reality, first panics and then, with icy determination, knocks out every simulated terrorist, all thanks to the helmet. After the experiment, she longs for this feeling of power and clarity for weeks. Freedom or a programmed state. Such stimulants are just the beginning. Helmets that enhance focus, quell anxiety, and disable self-criticism are already on the horizon. Free will become a product. It will be possible to download, install, and configure it. But, and this is important, something similar can be experienced right now, without helmets, without currents, through discipline, through practice, through concentration, through asceticism. You can learn to observe your desires without following them. Don't cling, don't react, just see. You can notice the moment when an impulse arises and not give in to it. If you can stop the internal chatter, learn to direct your attention, you will begin to see. Desires come and go like clouds. You are not them. It is a long journey, months, years. But this is the real chance for freedom. Not the freedom to follow your desires, but the freedom to observe them, to understand them, and, perhaps, to choose what to follow and what to let go. True freedom begins not with desire, but with attention. Do humans have free will? Chimpanzees do. Dogs and parrots do too. When your pet wants to eat, it eats, or asks you for food. But the question is not whether parrots or humans are capable of following their desires. The question is, are we capable of choosing those desires? Controlling them? Redirecting them? Do you think you choose what you want? Well, that's a misconception. Why do you want this particular cake? Why do you vote for one party and not another? Why do you fall in love or suddenly start to hate? Why do you want fatty chicken instead of cucumber and cabbage? Why don't you forgive but take offense? Why do you choose a red car instead of a black one? We do not choose our desires. They just appear in us. It's just a biochemical cocktail, a continuous stream of neural impulses. There is no I that could stand aside and say, "Now I will choose what to want." There is only a stream of consciousness. It brings thoughts and desires and carries them away. We feel desire. We act, but it's not a choice. Experiments confirm this. When a test subject presses a button, they feel, "I want this." And that's true. They want it. But they are mistaken in thinking that they chose to want it.